Hi, I'm Kim. Capture One have a new update today. They're bringing some new tools into their system. They have Magic Brush, Export, and some folder options with synchronization going on, which I think is kind of an interesting tool. So let's have a look at the first one, which is Magic Brush, and see how we get on. And this is just a fresh catalog I've set up just to do this little video in here. Just get rid of that. So no images in here, and I'm just going to import some images that are sitting in a folder on my desktop. So the normal import tool, I'm going to click up here. There's a selection of images. They're just sitting in a folder in my desktop. I'm just going to import them. Yeah, you still got your viewer, nothing else has changed. You can still go through pretty quickly and click on and off what you want to select. I don't know if you haven't seen that before, it might be interesting, but we're just going to import all. And they've come in pretty quick there. Okay, let's start at the beginning and look at the brush tool. So I'm just going to open up the first image here, which is an image of a boat that I shot while we were down in Galway at our coffee and Fuji's photo walk, which was good fun for everybody by all reports. You can check out coffeeandfujis.com if you want to know more about that. So within the layers, I've got my background here. You might notice a few things have changed. We've got the little plus and minus symbol moved up here now, and also our mask settings are up to here. Normally I just press M on the keyboard to change that, but it's up here along with the other view options. So I guess it's kind of a good place. Yeah, it's moved, so it's different, but I think it'll probably be useful to have it up here. It's the kind of thing you kind of set and then leave, I suppose. You can select your layers there. So that's obviously been moved from here. Now, Magic Brush, normal brush tool and brush tool with some sparkly bits on it. So that's obviously quite magic. So you can just select that. You can adjust the size by using the keys on the keyboard if you want. And all I'm going to do is just drag. You can see the drag, and that's what it's selected, which I think is pretty cool. And it's done a great job of identifying down here with the blue that was bleeding over into this area here. I'll just turn it off, reapply it back on again. So I think that's a pretty good selection. It'd be much harder to do without it. If I wanted to add any more, like I wanted to take this little bit here, if I wanted to bring that into my selection, I just brush across it and Capture One figures out that's what I want to do and puts it into my mask. Same with this kind of thing, I can select those as well. Now, if I was to select the blue also, obviously it would just join in the blue as well, but perhaps I want to treat these differently and make some kind of selection. And then when you have your selection, you can just do what you want with it. It's a selection, a mask that's on top, so you can change all the values you want and it only applies to the mask. So let me turn my mask off for a second. I'm just going to make this kind of an orange color, maybe deepen the orange down a little bit. I'm going to put some clarity in it just to make it really stand out. And yeah, I think it's pretty good there. A nice little selection tool. Now obviously you can still remove the opacity of that to soften the effect. You can go into the luma range and you can do all the adjustments of where you'd like the mask to not apply or apply. So I might want some of the darks coming back out into that for whatever reason. You can do all these kind of things. So it is just a mask after all, which is good. If you wanted to select something else, all you got to do is generate a new layer and just select. So now I have a new mask selected there. I just pushed M on my keyboard to reselect that. I'm just going to make sure it brings in a little bit more of this here. Yeah, and that's done a pretty good job of selecting all of that there. I could then obviously, change this around, do the same kind of thing to it to make my image the way I want. So if we look at the before, we've got this image and after, which is this image. And that's just been using a couple of magic brushes, and you can see how quick it was just to make a couple of adjustments. So we'll just go into another image here, and you can see here if I just select this, I'll turn my mask on, you can see it's selected just this panel, and then it's done a pretty good job. Obviously you can right click anywhere on your image and you can get to the magic brush settings, including the opacity, the tolerance, and how much of a refine edge. Or if you want to sample the entire photo, you may just want to leave them on the default settings. I think they're generally quite fine for doing that one. So if I've selected one and I might want to select all the umbrella, so I just draw around all the areas and it selects it. And then you can do the usual thing. I'll just turn the mask off of, adjusting how you want it to look. You can go into the colors and maybe select some of the color range there, and you might desaturate it or saturate it, or whatever it is you want to do with the image to make it yours. The magic brush just speeds things up. Again, we can do another selection. Oops, sorry, let me get my magic brush on. We can do another selection, and I've probably gone over there. Have I? Yep. So even though I've drawn over that, it's still managed to only select that bit, which is good. So I just undo it and do it again. And you can still use the eraser tool. You can go in and you can, manually remove out some of the mask here like that. I don't see an option to use the magic brush to deselect at the moment. None of the keys you would normally push in things like Photoshop to make that happen work, but it's a nice step, and the magic brush is something I'm going to use because I do a lot of brushing, a lot of layer work at times, and I think it's a great move forward. So that was Magic Brush. I think it's a pretty interesting tool, and it's good to see the development coming in. So the next tool is the export tool. So let's have a look at that. I'm just going to select a couple of images at random here. Let's see, James one there, and we'll get a couple of those. So that's just 5 images in there to export. These are just the raw files. I haven't done anything with them, but up here now you'll see we used to have a little cogwheel here. If you're used to Capture One Pro, you'll have seen that there. But they've put everything up onto the one into this export, which you can see is an export dialog. And what that does when you click it is gives you a new window. So if I give it a click, I can now see I have a brand new window opened up here. Let me put it up full screen so you can see it by double clicking the top bar. Same options. You've still got all your export recipes here, and you can make new ones, same as normal. You've got your locations, you've got your naming, you've got everything you would normally have within the export window, but you have now just a new window to do it in. So this has brought everything together into the one place. One new option in there is something here called existing files. So you see it says add suffix. So as would have been the case with Capture One, when you go to export an image and then you go to export it again, it adds a 1 or a 2 or a 3 after it, depending on how many times you've exported that image, which is great if you're doing different versions of it. It's nice to have the option there. But if you just wanted to overwrite an image, that's never been the case. You'd have to manually delete and then rename. So what they've done now is allowed you to either overwrite the existing file or just to skip it. So if you had a batch done and you're doing a few more and you have them all selected, instead of regenerating them all out and adding ones or whatever to them, it will just skip the ones you've already done. So just a couple more options to you. But what I'll do is I will export these real quickly and I'll show you that in action. So we're just going to leave it as normal, and those images are exporting there away. It's pretty hot in the studio today, so excuse me if you can hear a lot of fan noise going on. I have the air off, but the Mac is humming away here nicely. It's almost 30 degrees outside, which is pretty hot for Ireland. So I'm looking forward to getting this done quickly in the morning and then get out for the rest of the day and enjoy some sunshine for a change, because we don't get too much of that over here, which would be good. So now let's say I go in and I decide that I want to go edit this photo of James here. I'm just going to add a style to it. So I won't go into all my custom ones. Let's go down into Nordic editorial, and I think a bit of Oslo would be good there, just to give him that look, a bit of desaturated on the reds and bring the blues up a little bit, which I kind of like for this image very much. I'm not going to do anything else with it. That's it. It's done for me for the moment. And I want to re-export just that one. So I'm just going to make sure that it's only one that I have selected here as opposed to them all. And I'm just going to go to export. And you can see now I've just got the one image to go, but all the same options are there. And instead of adding a suffix, I'm going to overwrite the file. So if I go into the export window here, you can see that's the shot of James. Okay, and then I'm going to overwrite it with this one. So I just export the image, and there it is being exported out and overwritten, as you can see. All right, if I was to reset that image and then go to export it, and if I go to skip and export the image, nothing happens. Okay. If I go to add suffix, then obviously I will export it and it will load up there, and you can see there's a 1 after it there, which is the image, and that's it in its edit. So there you go. So some small improvements there, but it's interesting to see that they put it into a new window, which is an interesting development, changing the UI so strongly like that. Might be a hint of what's coming up with Capture One 22. If they ever release that soon, we'll see all about that, but it's definitely some progression in the right direction from what I can see. So the last thing I want to look at is the folder tools. So we have folder synchronization, which will allow you just to drag new images into a folder anywhere, and it will update the catalog without you necessarily having to import them through that dialog. And also you can now finally see images that are in the hierarchical structure of your folders. So let's have a look. Okay, so you can see here I have my folder structure on the side. This is the one I've imported here, which is a test catalog, and this is the day here. And if I right click on it, you can see hide images in subfolders, which is what you would be used to if you've been using Capture One. So what I got to do is click anywhere and show images in subfolder, and there we go. Now I can click on any of the folders and I can see all of the images. Let me hit G there to get them all up. I can see all of the images. If I hide them, obviously they go away and they're only shown here. So you can see we've got July 21st in here. Now if I just select all, I'll just unselect a few randomly around, and then we just drag those somewhere else, just so I have a little less to import in here. Now I'm going to right click here and I'm going to synchronize the folders. And what this is going to do, it's going to automatically import everything that I have in there. So you can show it's going to say I have 218 new images because I'm including subfolders. If I didn't include the subfolders, it would be no images. So why don't we just go ahead and import those in, and you can see up here it's counting away and it's starting to import in some images that I shot. We'll let that go. It's about a minute, I'd say, to go on that one. Nothing has changed here yet because it hasn't built the file structure. I'm going to synchronize test catalog, and once it finishes, there we go. Look at that. All the dates and everything are up there. All my images are in, which I think is kind of fantastic. So if I say go in and yep, let's open an image randomly in here, and I'm going to bring it into July 21st up here. So it's got 5 in there now. So again, I want to just synchronize. I can either synchronize this folder or I can synchronize that folder. It doesn't really matter. And it says there, import one new image. So Capture One has scanned that, knowing I've got one new image there. I can just sync, it brings it in, there it is there. And once it generates that, it should pop it in the right folder for me. So there you can see it is right there, the one I selected. Let's take you out of G so you can see it. So that's the raw file, a little bit of product shot for tether tools that I was doing. So that's Magic Brush in Capture One. I think it's an interesting development in neural learning that a lot of companies are putting into their apps these days. Hopefully more of it to come, because it certainly makes life an awful lot quicker. If you want to check out Capture One, there is links in the description. That's right below the like and subscribe button. You know what to do there, along with a 10% code that you can avail of. If you choose to buy, just bang the code in, you get an extra 10% off. So there you have it. I've been Kim. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. The like and subscribe button, along with a 10% code that you can get off if you just choose to buy. Blah, 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 blah. So that's the Magic Brush tool. Oh, hang on. Claps on though. So that's the Magic Brush tool. I think it's an interesting development in the neural engine process.